Welcome. Let's continue episode 4 of the tutorial on variation. This is the partial variation. So I will not be talking too much. I have everything labeled out for us. Let's go through it and see how we can relate the partial variation with joint, direct, and inverse. So it is a relationship between two variables in which the dependent variable, if you have an equation in this form, this is depending on this. Before I can know the value of y, I need to know what x is. So this is dependent variable. This is independent, meaning it is be on its own. That is the value I need to know first before I can find y. So the dependent variable is the sum. Mathematics is meaning equals to the sum of a constant number. Here, constant of variation, and a constant multiple. You can hear a constant two times. Constant number and a constant multiple of the independent variable. It has an equation in the form this. So this is just the equation of a straight line, but it is going to be in the same form. So if y is the one varying partly as a constant b and partly directly as x, the x is now going to be the multiple of this constant. So m is a constant, this is also what? A constant, and this is the fixed constant. So where m is the constant of variation, let's forget about this and say that this y varies directly as what? X. I believe you multiply the x by the k, which in this case is what? The m. So this is the constant of variation. If it is direct, it multiplies. If it is inverse, it will also multiply. But this here is partial constant, which is in the question, which you must introduce. So we are saying that m is the constant of variation and b is the fixed cost, in this case fixed constant or initial value. So you have to introduce b at all costs. So that is partial variation. It involves two constants, and it also involves a constant and a constant multiple of either direct or inverse. All right, let's see how we can put that. So let's go through this to summarize what we are having here. So if x is partly a constant, which is what? The b. Partly a constant, the b will come at all costs. And addition, partly varies directly as what? Y. What do you think will be the relation? Don't forget, I'm going to start with the equal sign direct so that I can get my constant of what? Variation. So this is going to be x is equals to the sum. So I can say k1 plus directly varying as this. The moment it is direct variation, there is a constant of proportionality, which is k. So in this case, I have k to y. The k1 and the k2 is indicating the first constant and the second constant. In some cases, you see we are using m and b. You could also use different variables. You can put c here as constant and k here as constant if you don't want to indicate the subscripts. All right, that is in that case. So any question that is going to be x varies partly as a constant and partly as a direct relation with another variable, you are always going to have this equation, always in this form. All right, if x is partly a constant and partly varies inversely as y. So if you are picking x equals to the sum of that constant, so let me use c plus the next constant of variation with y will be k divided by what? Y. You remember it's inverse, which is k times 1 over y, and 1 over y times k will give us k over y. So this is our constant. This is a fixed constant. This is the constant of the variation in the question. You can go this way or you can also move in that direction. If only you are defining the points you are using. So if A is partly a constant and varies jointly as what? L and B. Joint variation is as a product of two variables. So let's forget about partly statement here and just say A varies jointly. That is a product of L and B. So I'll have my A equals to the sum of the constant, the fixed constant, plus then we are going to have a product of this with the constant. So I have KLD. I believe you get that part clear. This is more or less like a direct variation of two variables. We did a joint variation. You can check it out from the playlist. If P varies partly as scale, check. This has a different connotation from here. All of them, if X varies partly as constant, if X varies partly at constant, if A varies, that is partly as a constant. So we are beginning with the constant summation with other variables. But here, if P varies partly as Q, meaning the Q is going to be a multiple of our first fixed constant. So I'll be having P equals to the first constant times, let me use K1 so that the C will not look like the Q. This is the first one. This is the first constant. But it is varying that partly with another variable also. So this will take that part. Then the summation plus inversely as the square of R. We know inverse. 1 over the square of R. But there should be a variation constant. So that will be K2 over R squared. I believe the concept of joint variation is clear. We need to be able to know how we can coin the equation from the question. And one thing we have to know that since it is two unknown constants, your calculation is always going to be into simultaneous equation. Any question you get under partial, because they are involving two unknown, definitely the question will give you this and this. Then if this and this and this are given, we need to be able to what? Find the constant through simultaneous equation. I will take a question in the next episode. I believe the concept, the introduction to partial variation resonate with you. If yes, come back to the space. Let's take a question and see how we can manipulate our way out. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to share this video, like it, comment, and subscribe if you are new. Bye-bye.